Story. This is from last night's news, but it does cross over the big gay out and the State of the Nation speech quite well. It combines them. So I thought two stories for one. Let's have a look at News Hub from last night.
Tato kato, good evening. Christopher Luxon was forced to abandon his visit at Auckland's big gay out after being swamped by a crowd of pro-Palestine protesters who shouted at him until he was bundled into a car by security officers. The day began with the Prime Minister's first State of the Nation speech, in which he prescribed tough choices and tough love for what he called a fragile New Zealand. Isabel Ewing.
But didn't give out any policy or nothing. That's why I'm not really playing a lot. It didn't really give out anything that was like, and this is how we'll do it. There was nothing at all to be found.
Reports.
Your party's track record on queer rights is shit.
That was the moment things started to go south for the Prime Minister at Big Gay Out. A few boos escalating to a full-blown protest.
Shame, shame, shame on you! This walkabout at Big Gay Out started pretty mellow, but as you can see, it's really heated up.
The Prime Minister and his wife bundled into a car.
Of course.
He is wearing exactly the same outfit that he wore last Big Gay Out.
Really? Maybe he's...
Sunglasses, blue polo shirt. Exactly the same. I swear.
What's that? Who's the guy who plays Deadpool? His name's eluding me right now.
Oh, Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds plays that other movie where he's in a computer game and he goes to his cupboard. Things are just the same.
Yeah.
All right. I'll look it up while we keep playing, eh?
Yep, go for it.
For a hasty exit, leaving these protesters to cool off. New Zealand joined with Australia and Canada 3 days ago to call for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire and to plea with Israel not to proceed with a ground offensive in Rafah. This didn't placate the protesters at Big Gay Out. Earlier in the day, a very different scene at the Prime Minister's first State of the Nation speech.
So I have to level with you, New Zealand, and say the state of the nation is fragile.
Luxon made no mention of his coalition partners and delivered no new policy, focusing instead on the country's rough economic forecast and massive infrastructure deficit.
So I want to be really upfront with all of you that achieving this will be difficult, and it will mean us making tough choices together.
Later on, finding support amongst the rainbow community.
We need to help these landlords, guys. We need to help these landlords.
If you can't hear it on the audio podcast, there's someone saying we need to help these landlords. We need to help these landlords. And yes, Joe, you're about to say, I don't think it's been taken seriously.
No, not at all.
Bring the housing prices down, and the only way we're going to do it is support the landlords to be able to bring up more investors into the market.
Yeah, you're speaking our language.
We do that,
Chris Hipkins took the stage to announce a petition against a plan to remove the gender, sexuality and relationship-based education guidelines, a stipulation in National's coalition agreement with New Zealand First.
Because I think it's really important for New Zealand's future that we have an inclusive New Zealand, one which recognises and celebrates everyone for who they are.
Those guidelines were developed by educational professionals and specialists in the area to help schools be more inclusive and to teach kids the importance of respect and diversity in relationships.
People need to learn about this stuff. It's really cool. Like, look at all these people that came here. That's like mean as.
I don't know if it's a surprise either, though, you know, like I think people voted for it.
Luxon couldn't say whether that promise to New Zealand First would be kept.
Well, which is interesting because it's part of their coalition agreement. As the reporter's just saying.
Correct. And so what the intention is to make sure that we've got age-appropriate curriculum, we've got parents consulted, and we've got a consistency of teaching across the country.
Navigating the demands of his more conservative coalition partners and navigating the ups
Can I take a picture with you? Yeah.
and downs of being in the top job. Isabel Ewing.
If you missed that again because you're on the audio podcast, young fella with a middle finger being shown whilst he was getting a photo taken. Yeah, so I mean, we talk about we don't do culture wars so much. It's a bit more of a culture warsy type conversation. There was a clip that I saw over the weekend that I couldn't find again. It was interesting that there was a young child, let's say 12-year-old, who said to Mr. Luxon something like, "Will you call for the genocide to stop in Gaza, or would you call it a genocide?" And Luxon started to go to this girl. He said, "What I would say to you is," to this 12-year-old, and then I'm assuming what is the child's mother went, "Mate, it's a yes. It's just a yes." And that was the end of the conversation. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not about, you hear about the bully pulpit, or you hear about the, what do you call it when you stop people from talking based on a number of people, but it's a part of the democratic process as well. People are allowed to do it. It's boisterous. I mean, I remember, Chris Hipkins talking about it at the Otara flea markets being kind of shouted down, and we see the similar sort of thing. It's a part of what it is. I mean, there's only one reason he was there, and that was to try and have his and his party's names put into people's heads for the next time they comes to vote. I've been to that. That's a Point Chevalier in Auckland. I've been to it 4 or 5 times. It's great fun. Great fun.
I have a couple of thoughts. Genuinely, I think it's important that our major right-wing party goes to big gay out. Like, you don't have to go back that far where no politician would be caught dead there.
Yeah.
At something like that, at a rainbow community focused event. Like, it was just political toxic waste. We don't want to talk to them. They're too small. I don't need their vote. It pisses people off too much. And now we have our major parties always making sure that they're seeing there. But when you are national and you look at the history of your party, and you don't even have to look very far back, you can look at the recent history of what you have voted for and what you have stood for, and the bills that you've put by just by the context of you being a right-wing conservative government or party. I don't think you should ever expect to get a good welcome at Big Gay Out.